That's about right. Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday tune-in. This is a segment that I have, I've been called to do on a weekly basis. And I'm basically going to jam with you on, what I feel are really big, important topics and pose some questions. That's why this is called the tune-in, because it's through questions and questioning and self-reflecting that we can really dive deep in with our own inner wisdom and logic. We all have wisdom within us that is so powerful, and a lot of the time it's kind of digging through the layers and unpacking all of the stuff and what we have been taught, what we've been learning from a very young age, to get down deep and to find that message, that voice that really knows, that really has all the answers for us always. So that's what this is about. And tonight the topic is connection. And I think connection is probably something that I talk about. It's probably one of my top 3 words that I talk about the most. And I think it's worth diving in and just making clear what I mean by that. Because there's probably a couple different ways to think about connection. But for me, I'm talking about real connection. When you have this energetic thing that goes between you and another person, and whatever words you want to use, there's something between you that's very real. And I believe that's when you are seen for who you really are. You're heard for your authentic, beautiful self. And there's something very magical about that. The between two people, an exchange, it doesn't really even need to be. I was talking with my yoga teacher, Manny, this morning about this. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about. It matters that you are completely present with the other person. And if you think about your days, how often are you that present? And I have to say, when I come across people that are super present like that, I feel like a warm glow come over me. And I remember, it's really significant to me that someone, they weren't fidgeting, they weren't going to check their phone, they weren't trying to butt in on the conversation, they weren't trying to find a way to relate it back to themselves. And they held the moment and listened to what I had to say. I just feel magical. And I guess what my call is for us to be able to offer that to other people as well. And I think this is what makes the world go round. This is how we're going to heal the earth, actually, through this genuine connection. So that's why it matters. The question I was going to pose is, why does genuine connection matter? And I think, even if you look at it from a really simple view, it makes your life better. It makes your quality of life much stronger and richer, because you get to have joyful interactions with your friends and the people that you meet, strangers that you meet. It makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. And then on a really big scale, we can pull people out of loneliness and just the biggest struggle and suffering with a genuine connection. And what a gorgeous gift to be able to give to somebody else. It's pretty easy to think, when you watch the news and you see all the terrible bad things that are happening across the globe, it's pretty easy to get overwhelmed by that. And then the next step is I can't really do anything about it, so it's not my problem. And I think, it is actually. We all have a role to play, and this is what I call collective responsibility. We all have a role to play in dealing with that stuff that's far away. Each person that we meet, that we interact with, is a beautiful human, gift to this planet. And if we treat each of those people with a dignity, a respect, a kindness, we're actually building a momentum. We can lift communities up, we can lift countries up, but it starts so small. It starts with the lady at the shopping centre it starts with your kids, or, I mean, I can't speak to that. I'm not a parent, and I know that you can't always be super present and, holding the space for your kids because they've got their own energies as well. But your mum, when she calls you, being super present with her. At first, this might seem like exhausting, because it's like, I normally do a couple of other things while I'm talking to somebody. And, sometimes that's okay. Don't judge yourself for that. But I offer you this opportunity to tune in really closely with that other person and see what happens. I don't think in the end that it's exhausting. I think it's reviving. I think it gives you life and energy. So I think this is a really big deal. I don't really think, what else matters? Why are we here on the planet if it's not to have joy and to connect with one another? And I think we've got a long way to go. I think things are not in a good state at the moment. That's why the blog that I wrote last week was called The Crisis of Connection. I think we're buggering it up. I think there's a lot more that we could be doing, and we don't have to get freaked out about saving the world. We can just do it with the people that we interact with. It can be so small. It's baby steps. It's mini leaps, just like everything else. So inside the blog, I offer you a little freebie challenge as well. So you can jump in. I've put the website link in the text above this and below this. I never know where it goes. And it's an opportunity for you to take 5 days and see if you can strengthen your connection superpowers. It's just one little task a day. And see what you can do with that. So I'm going to share with you the Connection 101 tips that are actually inside that free challenge. This is something you do at your own pace, but these might seem like really obvious things, but I think it's always nice for a reminder. So I'm going to share 5 little tips. So the first one is put your phone away. When you go for dinner with your friends, when you're catching up for coffee, when you're with your family, put your phone away. And even if it's on the table, I was with a beautiful friend, Nick, and her dad, Ken, on the weekend having dinner, and he was so sweet, he turned his phone off. I don't want to be distracted, not even for the tiny, smallest distraction of anything blinging or a timer going off or whatever. He turned it off. He wanted to be really there with us, and I was very touched by that. Number 2, look people in the eye. And that is not the easiest thing in the world. And I think that comes back to how you feel about yourself. That is a reflection on your self-belief and your level of worthiness. And you deserve to have genuine connections. You deserve that person's attention and they deserve yours. So don't cut yourself off from having that, that vulnerability, that beautiful thing that you can have when you actually look somebody in the eye. Just be a little bit courageous and give this a shot. And you can practice. Actually, I was on a beautiful webinar today about looking yourself in the mirror and actually how challenging that is. I would say they go hand in hand. If you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you or I care about you, then it's going to be really easy to do that with other people. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. Think about your body language. This is tip number 3. So when you're in a conversation with somebody and you really want to be present, how do you stand? Are your arms folded over? Are you twitching and fidgeting? Just think about it. Just get conscious. What are you doing with your body while you're in that conversation? Number 4, don't make assumptions about what that person is trying to say or what they mean. And I have to say I'm really guilty of this because I'm quick to go, oh, well, A plus B equals C, and that's what this person's going through, and it's fairly obvious. Just let them speak. Just really listen without trying to find a way to get your story in. Don't worry about the next question that you're going to ask or how you can link that back to how, oh yeah, my friend went through that as well, blah, blah, blah. Just listen. And tip 5 is when you do have the opportunity to talk, when it's your turn to talk, say what you really think. Just give it a shot. be really honest, be your truthful self. Give a little bit of yourself to that person, and they might not be expecting that, and what a wonderful little surprise. You know, it's so easy for us to fall into like surface layer conversation that really means freaking nothing because we're scared to go lower. But it starts with you. Leaders go first and then the rest come. Somebody has to go first and be like, you know what? I'm not going to bullshit anymore. I'm going to be my genuine self. And then you call that person to do the same and then they meet you there. So that is a big one and that can be scary, but I think the most beautiful things in life are waiting for us when we're willing to get vulnerable, when we're willing to be honest, when we're willing to be truthfully ourselves. So that's all my tips. And I hope that gives you just a little bit of something to think about and to try out, and jump in and grab the freebie. I've made it for you. I really, I want it to be something that you can implement in your daily life and shift your consciousness. That's what this whole Tuesday tune-in is about. It's really a big part of the work that I'm doing is to raise the awareness so that we know what's really going on and we can make conscious decisions in our lives. So it's really damn hot here in Adelaide and I'm going to go and sit in front of the aircon. Wherever you are, I love you very much for exactly who you are, and I'll see you next week.